Hi everyone, welcome. Thanks for checking out my channel. This is Influenced Colorist. So I think I'm a little late for Shark Week. I think it was a week ago or maybe even 2 weeks ago. But when I saw this page, I just felt like it was the perfect title. Yes, Shark Week. This page comes from the book Fragile World by Kerby Rosanes, and it's a new book for me. My son's girlfriend actually just surprised me with this out of the blue last week, and I thought that was just really sweet. She knows how much I like to color, so I was really wanting to color in it, and then I saw this page and was like, yep, I gotta do something for Shark Week. So I've seen some really amazing pictures on Instagram of this page, and I've just kind of wanted to do something a little different, maybe even on the dark side. Not necessarily gory, but kind of in that realm, which is not really my style at all. So now I'm letting you in on a little secret. Most of my pages that I do on video, I've done some type of preparing. Maybe scanning in the pictures and printing them out, and then coloring, trying out different color palettes, things like that, just to make sure everything goes pretty smoothly when I'm recording. So this time when I printed stuff out and I was trying to play around with some like distress inks, watercolor, well, because obviously it's my printer, I don't know if it's because it's a I don't think it's an inkjet. I don't know. But anyway, the ink does run some. So when I try to do like the sponge on here, it just smears the black around. So I don't really get a true picture of how it's going to turn out, or if the medium that I'm going to use is going to work out, because obviously working in this page is going to be a lot different. So you're gonna have to bear with me. Wish me luck. Hopefully what I have in my head will transfer on to the paper. So I also do have a little inspiration for my page. So I teach art class to 3rd grade to 8th grade, and I have the sweetest little 7th grader, or sorry, actually she was 8th grade this year, sweetest girl. And I was teaching them a watercolor horse lesson, and then I was showing them how to use a paintbrush and do the paint splatters all over. Well, she chose red to splatter paint around on her horse, and when I came up, I was like, whoa, and she was like, yeah, I got a little carried away, but I'm just going with it. And yeah, it looked pretty gruesome, like slaughterhouse gruesome, but then it was actually kind of cool on the other hand. So she is my inspiration, just because I want this to have like a kind of very painterly look with some splatters. I want to try the distress ink and some water to get like those grungy water spots on there. Yeah, I just you know, with all these fish, I don't know what I'm gonna do to try to color around it. So anyway, we're gonna play around with that today and have some fun with my Shark Week page. Okay, so I am going to start off with some ink. Now, I called this Distress Ink, and it is not the Distress Ink brand. So it is not the Tim Holtz Ranger Distress Ink brand, but it is a dye-based ink. This one happens to be from Close to My Heart. I used to be a consultant for Close to My Heart many years ago for scrapbooking and stamping. So I just happen to have like a ton of ink pads still, and thankfully a lot of them are still usable. So like I said, I've had these for years and I'm still able to use them. Some of them might be a little faded, but for my purposes, they work out okay. Most of the time, I think they work similar to Distress Ink, where if you spray them with water, you get those kind of water droplet effects. So anyway, I'm going to use this one. This one is called Tulip, which is a reddish color. And then I'm going to be using these little sponge daubers. This one is a domed sponge dauber. Some of them are more flat, so I'm going to try this one. And I'm actually just going to go right over the fish, hoping that my color pencils, or I might have to do acrylic paints or something over the fish. So yep, I'm just going to go for it and see what happens. So in my videos, I do a lot of either speed coloring, coloring off camera, and then doing real-time coloring. So I usually try to explain whether it is real-time or if I come on later and do a voiceover on the video. So either way, at the end of the video, you'll see a finished product. All right, thanks. All right, starting the inking process, I'm just kind of pressing and rolling the applicator onto the ink pad. And then I want the edges to be darker, and then as it goes towards the center, lighter. So that's why I'm gonna start right here on the edge, because that will be the darker application. And then as the ink kind of wears off, then I can start moving that towards the center. I really like the shade of this red, but I want it to be a little deeper around the edges. So I'm gonna take this color Vineyard Berry and just work it around the edge of the paper. And for this little seal swimming for his poor life, I'm going to use the Tim Holtz Distress ink in Vintage Photo. It's a beautiful kind of golden brown color. And the applicator I'm using is called a sponge dauber. So it just has this little plastic cup that you stick your finger in, and then the little sponge applicator is at the top. So it makes it really convenient to get into some smaller areas. And then this applicator has two little sponges at the ends of the stick. And this makes it really nice to get in those really small areas. This is the same color. I'm just adding a little bit more ink to that applicator and pressing a little harder. All right, for the shark, I'll be using the Close to My Heart ink in Heavenly Blue. This will be more of the highlight shade. And then my oldest ink pad I think I have, still close to my heart. This is in Gray Wool, still working, surprisingly. That will be for the majority of the body. Okay, I do not prepare my pages with any medium like gesso, so I'm anticipating some bleed through with this next step. This is a water bottle from Tim Holtz collection, and I'm just going to spray some water around all the inked things, hoping to get some good grungy looking water spots. Some water come out more in like bigger drips and others are kind of a light spray, so I'm wanting more bigger water spots. So you just kind of let the water sit there for a minute and it starts to activate. And then you can come in with a paper towel or a towel and kind of dab it off a little bit. But when it does sit there a little bit longer, it is going to help it activate a little bit more and kind of change the color and give you those water spots. They do look a little bit more on the purple side right now, but that's just because it's wet. Once it dries, it doesn't look purple. All right, checking the back, it definitely has some bleed through, and I honestly don't worry about it too much, especially a page like this that has a lot going on. I know it's something I'll be able to figure out how to cover or camouflage in the future. But it is something you should definitely be aware of before you start anything with water. All right, so I'm still letting that water dry on here. So what was interesting is that some areas are turning almost purple, and some areas didn't. And I think that's because I used those two different inks. One has more of a magenta, like underlying tones to it, so I think that's why some of it looks like it's turning purple. I'm not mad about it because again I want this to be kind of more painterly and splattery at the end, so I'm really happy with the way the blue and the gray looks. And my seal, I debated, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do him gray, but I'm kind of liking this golden brown color. So I'm not going to bore you with coloring all the fish. I'll do some at fast speed for you. But I'm using some Polychromos. This is 192 in some burgundy shades, and then this is 194. So yeah, just some kind of burgundy shades, and then I have a Prismacolor yellow. 10, 11, just to add that highlight. So these fish that don't have any detail are just going to be the darkest one, so kind of way in the background, and then I'll do a little light detail on the fish. So as you can see, because I'm sticking with these kind of tones on this red, the pencil's covered up the ink just fine. So anyway, happy with that. I'll get to coloring. I first started coloring with the lighter of the reds and then the dark one, and then blended with the lighter one again, and then added the yellow on top. But as time went on, I just started with the dark, added the lighter, and then finished off with the yellow. It was just a little quicker since there were so many fish. Normally I will do a pencil color shading on top of the base layer, but I thought it would cover up what I like about the way the ink looks. So I've decided to use watercolor to enhance those color variants. This set is by Pretty Excellent, that's the name of it, and I'm using a brush I would say is on the smaller side and has a nice point. Using a pointy brush, I'm able to control where I put those darker areas more than the ink applicators. And this gives me those pretty watercolor movements that only watercolor can do. I cleaned up my paint plate and now on to the sharks. Okay, now for all those finishing details, I'm using a white gel pen for the teeth. And then I'm just taking a black color pencil, filling in the eyes to be a little bit more solid black, and then highlighting with the white gel pen. Next, I'm going to use a white Posca to cover and fill the bubbles. My last step will be the paint splatters. First brush is just a small, kind of old, lost its point brush. And making sure I have plenty of water and pigment on the brush, I'm going to tap the handle on my finger. This method, you will get bigger droplets. Second brush is more of a flat style and kind of stiff, so I can use my finger to flick back the bristles, creating smaller splatters. All finished, and my final thoughts on the page. First thing right off the bat is the dramatic feel it has. The red water was the perfect choice for this suspenseful, fear factor vibe. I love the way the inking and watercolor made the sharks and seal look. Of course, the sharks are the main subject of the page, but coloring the seal in this golden brown really helps the eye move to the direction to see the action. Paint splatters aren't as prevalent as I thought they would be, and maybe I didn't even need them, but it was a fun touch. Okay, everyone, I really hope you enjoyed this Shark Week picture. It was very out of my comfort zone. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment if you like. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you next time.